under the rules of the New York State Athletic Commission. I expect a clean fight, obey my commands at all times, and protect yourself at all times. Shake hands, come out boxing with the bell.
Come on, Willie.
Nice stiff jab from the southpaw, Willie Monroe. Nice feints. Well, I like Willie Monroe's movement, his fluentness there, using a jab. Just being patient, trying to see what his opponent, Myers, has to offer. And talking to Myers, you mentioned, Steve, he's a West Coast fighter. He told me his last 3 fights has been here in the East Coast. He guessed East Coast appreciates his style of fighting more so than West Coast. Well, you know, Myers, you said he's coming, you know, he's aggressive. He's coming right at Monroe. I think the fact that he's been knocked out 2 of his last 3 fights has not deterred his style. He's continued on that aggressive path. He told me before the fight that he's going to bring it. He said, look, I'm looking to bring it. It's me against him. I'm the opponent, and I'm trying to win. I was just about to point that out, Steve. The fact that Willie Monroe continued to move to his left. Myers should pick up on that. Throw lead right hands. Cut him off to his right and just throw lead right hands. Force him into that right hand.
You see Monroe. Constant movement.
But he's jabbing with that movement. He's not just moving. He's using a tool to get out of danger.
Action from round 1. Willie Monroe Jr. in the blue and gray trunks. Loren the Rock Myers in the red and white. They're scheduled for 6. These are middleweights here at BB King's. And now Myers turns southpaw. Good round for Willie Monroe. Didn't land anything big, but he certainly outboxed Myers in this first round.
They controlled the action.
But he's very conscious to keep moving, and that movement definitely stifled Myers' attack in the first round.
And one thing I did notice so far with Willie Monroe's jab, he's throwing a nice jab, but every time he jabs, he pulls back.
You mean he pulls back his body?
He pulls back his body. Watch when he jabs, and Monroe steps in. He pulls back from the jab. Monroe just got to continue to step in. Instead of a half step in, take a full step in and throw the right hand.
And even if he doesn't throw the power shot, you're multiplying the effect of the jab by that much if you step in with it. Big right hook by Monroe. That was his best punch of the fight. Monroe doing a lot of measuring. And nice move there to get off the ropes, although as pulls his trunks up, Myers takes advantage.
As well he should. One thing I noticed, although Monroe has appeared that he's controlling the action movement, I think he's moving a little too much. He's moving uncomfortably.
And as you point out, Brian, it's hard to sit down on your punches when you're moving so much.
And then it's just one shot from Monroe. So 2 shots and he moved. So Myers can actually out-hustle him and outwork him if he just lets his hands go.
But a nice right uppercut by Monroe. Monroe is doing a good job changing angles. This is an accomplished fighter. At 142 amateur fights, Willie Monroe Jr. Junior Olympic champ, two-time Empire State Games here in New York, state champion. So he has the amateur credentials. And right now, Brian, I think I agree with you. He's a little more safety first than maybe he needs to be. But that movement is limiting how many shots Myers can land.
And this is a 6-round bout, keep in mind. Does he have the energy to constantly move like this?
It's a hot night here at BB King's, I'll tell you that. And now what happens when Monroe gets trapped? Well, he grabs and then he looks out to the crowd, smiles at somebody. We don't recommend that. It's a good way to get your clock cleaned as we reach the end of round 2 here at BB King. Scheduled for 6, Willie Monroe Jr. and Loren the Rock Myers.
For the action here, we spoke about Willie Monroe, constant movement. He's moving, he's moving. But when he does settle down, he picks his shots nice. Myers, undeterred, stays aggressive. Understands that all he has to...
We start round 3. Round 2 was a much better round for Myers, mainly because he threw 62 punches, CompuBox tells us. Only landed 19%, but he was much busier than in the first round.
Nice straight left hand. But just one shot from Monroe. Look, again,
another straight left, yep.
One punch, he lands, he admires his work.
Would you call this style, Brian, a little bit of an amateur style, carried over to the pros?
Certainly, I think it's exactly what you see in amateurs. Score, and get out. I mean, listen, there's nothing wrong with that if you know you're in for a long night.
Nice body work by Myers. Monroe rolling with those shots and now answers with a big right uppercut. Monroe's hand speed, big difference here.
But what you see here is a professional. Myers working. What you see when Willie Monroe gets his shots off is an amateur. Pick and move. Monroe get in and try to hurt your opponent. You see the different mindset.
And Brian, you made reference last round that Myers could out-hustle Monroe. Oh, big shots by Monroe. Combinations, putting his shots together. Momentarily, Rock Myers seems hurt there. Now he's just walking into shots. But you said that Myers could out-hustle Monroe potentially. That's what he was doing early in this round. But by working so hard, he's leaving himself open for some big counter shots by Willie Monroe Jr.
But that's expected. And if you're in Myers' corner, that doesn't bother you. You're fighting a speedster. It's expected that he's going to hit you. He's going to hit you with some clean shots. Don't worry about this. Just keep working.
This is not the biggest ring, I'll tell you that. And that works very much to Myers' advantage.
He's having an excellent round this round. Myers, that is.
He's throwing a lot of shots, and if he can pin Monroe against the ropes, that's where he's done his best work.
And I thought that uncontrolled movement in the first 2 rounds from Willie Monroe did a disservice to him.
Maybe slowing up a bit, Brian. You said to watch for that. Another uppercut and a second uppercut by Monroe. The difference in experience between these two is tremendous. Myers had only 3 amateur fights. He works as a waiter in Fresno. And you see Monroe, very fast hands. Now he's getting cocky, carrying that right hand very low.
Listen, Myers has been in there with some quality B-level guys. Monroe hasn't.
That's a slip. No knockdown.
Well, the first 2 rounds, Loren Myers got our hustle, counterpunch. The third round, he came out. He said, not this round. This is going to be all me. Put his head in the chest of Willie Monroe, and he just let his hands go. That's a professional. Later on in the round, same thing. Put his head in the chest of Monroe, but Monroe this time counterpunch effectively.
All right, we begin round 4. Steve Farhood and Brian Adams here at BB King's in New York City. Round 3 was certainly the closest round. Brian, who you gave round 3, and what do you have so far?
I gave the first 2 rounds to Willie Monroe. I gave the third round to Loren Myers, so I have a 29-28 in favor of Monroe.
That was an interesting round to score that third round because Myers certainly worked very hard, threw 64 punches, and Monroe was only 1 of 20 with his jab in round 3. And there we see the jab again. But he was much more effective with that punch earlier in the fight. Myers is in shape. He promised us he's in shape, and he is, because he's still applying pressure.
Yeah, he told me, so my style is to bring it. I'm the opponent. I'm going to bring it. It's me against him. His will against mine. Those were his words.
Nice straight left by Monroe.
And it changed Myers' mind about the southpaw stance.
One thing Myers doesn't do is lead with his jab when he comes in. And I don't necessarily think that's such a bad idea, because if he throws a slow jab, he's only going to get countered. What's the point, right? He's not going to do any damage with that jab, so why throw it?
Hey, you sound like you've done this before, Steve.
No, it's just common for announcers to always say he should be leading with his jab, but it's not always the case.
No, I mean, and to your point, absolutely correct. His jab will only be a slow, lazy jab against a speedster who's moving.
Monroe's still circling the ring a little bit. And now what happens when Myers gets in close? Can he work? Yes, he can. Monroe's blocking a lot of those shots, but the judges see the work by Myers. He lands an overhand right, another overhand right. Counter punch by Monroe. This has been a very good pace.
But look where Myers at, 3 inches in front of Willie Monroe.
Maybe the best punch of the fight, besides the jab for Monroe, has been those uppercuts. Right through the guard, right up the middle.
I agree. It has had a lot of success. Look at the right eye of Loren Myers. Coloring, swollen.
Swelling below the eye for sure. Chopping right by Myers. This has not been a bad round for Loren the Rock Myers.
No, so far this is an even round in my eyes. But too much room right there that Myers is giving Willie Monroe. Stay in his chest. And for Monroe, you want to continue giving angles.
And Brian, there's blood now in between the eyes. And look at the fast combinations, fast hands by Willie Monroe Jr. There's a bad cut. The blood is spreading all over Rock Myers' face. Hard to see. It looks like it's above the left eye.
Look like in the middle of the forehead. But earlier, you know, he kept his head in the chest and he kept his hands moving. Not hard shots, but he's just letting his hands move. Having some minor success with a few of those punches. Nothing really solid landing. But middle of the forehead, nasty cut, blood is streaming. I wonder if it was a headbutt or a punch.
Brian, we've both been around boxing a long time. You never see a cut like that opened by a punch.
No.
The position of it and the thickness of that cut, that's from a butt.
Yeah, it's a thick, bad cut like that. And those are the 2 of the biggest punches I've ever seen. They never open a cut up like that.
Well, referee Wayne Kelly did not indicate